Hey guys, so I wanted to touch on fact families. Now fact families, they're not nearly as scary as they sound, okay? Just think about your own family. You know, everybody's kind of related in there, but everybody's kind of different, right? But when you go through and you think about, say, your cousins, for example. You've got some cousins that you're related to, but they're totally opposite from you. Now that's how division and multiplication, they work exactly the same thing. These guys are opposite cousins. Now, they are completely related and they're part of fact families, but the way they function is exactly the opposite. So let's take a look. So for example, if I have 6 times 3, now I know here that the product is going to be bigger than what I started with. I've got 6 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 6. So in this case, I could do the 6 song, 6, 12, 18. Dude. Crazy songs, they work for some reason, right? Now, if the other number, let's say we started with the smaller number, in this case 3. 3, 6, 9, feeling fine, 12, 15, 18. Oh my goodness, we get there the same way. And we get the very same product. Now, what if we moved into division? And I'm going to use green because I lost my red pen somewhere. So let's, with this one, we're actually going to start with the biggest number of all of them. In this case, it's going to be the product. So I take this 18 and I slide them over here like that. Now the first one, let's do 18 divided by 6. Okay. Now the way that I remember this is if you go through and you think, okay, well if these are families, they just work a little differently, or a little sort of opposite in a sense. I've got my 18 here. I've got my 6 here. So what number am I missing from there? Let's see. 18, oh, we're missing the 3, right? So then I can plug my 3 in right there. Now if we do another version of the same problem, 18 divided by 3. Now, I look up at my initial ones here as part of my family, and I say, okay, well I've got my 18, and I've got my 3 this time, but what am I missing? Oh, I'm missing my 6. So I come in here, and this way, whether I'm doing division or multiplication, I know that part of this fact family is going to include 6, 3, and 18. And even though the way that they're set up may be opposite or look a little different, we're always going to have the same 3 numbers. All right, guys, so let's take a look at a couple more examples. Now, let's come across here to 7 times 5. Now, the cool thing about multiplication is that we have a commutative property, which is a fancy way of saying that we can change these things around as much as we want. Okay, so we can use the 7 song or the 5 song. But in this case, let's use the 7 song because that one's a little bit harder. Okay, 7, 14, and 21, 28, 35. Don't even have to say pum. How cool is that? So here we've got 7 times 5 equals 35. Now, even if I change the numbers around, it's still going to be the same answer because I've got my 5 here, I've got my 7 here, and we're multiplying in both cases. So we've got 35 on both of those. Now I know some of you are thinking, but Mr. Smith, what if we're doing division? Okay, so with division, you remember you're going to want to take the biggest number there. So I'm going to throw that 35 in front, and I'm going to foreshadow a little bit here, and I'm going to show you we're going to do it twice. So we've got 35 for both of these two. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, okay, so 35 divided by 7 equals, well, let's look up here. I've got 35, cool. I've got 7, cool. So what am I missing? Here's a hint. It rhymes with 5. Okay. Now, if we do another one the same way, but we just switch the numbers around a little bit, I double check and I say, well, wait a minute here. We've got my 35, we've got my 5. So what's the only thing I'm missing? Oh yeah, I'm missing my 7. Okay? So that's why the fact families are important. Again, even if they're different or they're even opposite, they're all related, so these same numbers are going to be in all of these different problems when we're working on the families. Now let's take a look at one more guy here, and then I think we'll call it good for now. 8 times 5, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Nice. See, these songs, they're not just fun to sing, but they're actually useful. I promise. So we got 40 here, and even if I switch these guys around, we're still going to have that same answer. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Too many things in my hands here. But we still come out with 40. Now, if I start down here on the bottom, and I break out that 40, and I'm going to come back and say, well, wait a minute. 40 divided by, let's do the 8 first. Okay, I've got my 40, check. I've got my 8, check. And the last guy I'm missing, this little 5 goes right there. So for the rest of that problem, I drop my 5 in here. I got my 40, I got my 5. So I know in the end, the only answer I've got left is going to be that 8. Fact families don't have to be scary. Just remember, like family, they're all related.